gonna skip around here. In a couple days, it's the NFL Finals. It officially starts. The NFL. I'm sorry, not the NFL. The NBA Finals.
You
I'm
mentioned
jumping.
it.
The
Gotcha.
NBA Finals officially start.
49ers
Uh,
Ravens finals.
you said 40.
Wait.
Absolutely not. Heck no, no, no,
Yeah.
no,
No.
no.
No. Are you going with a
Uh,
different team other than the Ravens?
no, other than the 49ers. We're not doing that. But no, we have, come on, K-Rock, you throwing me off my game right now. I'm
My
forgetting who the
bad. Okay.
NBA Finals is. It is. But we have the Boston Celtics versus the Dallas Mavs. I don't know if anybody had the Dallas Mavs in the finals. I'm gonna be honest, I daggone
I
sure did
didn't.
not. I didn't think they was going to get this far. But I'm going to say I'm loving it already. I'm loving the narrative of it. You got Kyrie Irving going to the one place that he is hated the most. And I don't think he likes that area neither. But just give me your general thoughts on the finals. Again, it's 7 games. Well, maybe 7 games. We'll see. And it should be going on when we come back. So we'll dive into more
Yeah.
detail next week as well. But just give me a quick preview on game 1 that's going to approach. And I have a quick question. This actually came up on another show that I was on last week, Man Down Sports. I was actually on that show. And actually I wasn't on it, but I heard them talk about it. Who do you think? And I got to take it from you, Mel. So I know you watching. I got to take it from you. Who do you think is the best player in this series right now? Jay, I'm gonna come to you first.
As far as the best player, Britt, I think to me, Luka has proved himself over the last couple of series that to me, I think he's the best and most consistent player in the series. And he's the player that I think can affect the game the most, simply because he's going to have the ball in his hands all the time. So
Right.
I'm going to give the best player in the series to Luka. In terms of the series as a whole, it's just going to be really interesting. Like Boston's been the best team in the league all year long. But I don't know. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Dallas beats them, you know. And I have to say, like, I was one of those people that I thought like Luka and Kyrie weren't going to work out when it first happened. I just didn't see like, they both need the ball in their hands. I just don't know how this is going to work. I mean, they're in the finals, so they have figured out how to make it work. It's just going to be really interesting. And like you said, Britt, the narrative around Kyrie, I want to see how that plays out. You know, he's going to get a heck of a welcome back in Boston. I mean, it's going to be crazy, some of the stuff that they're saying to him and stuff like that. So for me, it's going to be interesting just to see how he performs on the road. So it's just a lot of fun storylines. But I think I'm not going to try to pick the whole series, but I'm going to say I like Dallas to win game 1.
Yeah, I think for me, to answer the one question, I think the best player in this series, it's like you want to go with Tatum. His consistency just throws me off all the way. One moment he's playing like, oh my gosh, he could be a superstar, and then next moment we're looking at Jaylen Brown or we're looking at Drew Holiday making all the plays. I gotta go with, and this may be crazy because I know how talented Luka is. But I gotta go with Kyrie, and I gotta go with Kyrie, not necessarily because he's the better scorer or he's the better defender. And don't get me wrong, Kyrie cooks. He cooks in that kitchen, whatever kitchen it is on the court, he cooks. But to me, I think experience is everything, and Kyrie has been waiting for this particular moment at this particular time to get back here. And he's been there before. He's done that, and in a moment that he's done it, he's came up with some crucial shots and crucial plays the last time he won a championship. He was the fourth quarter person. I don't want to say the wrong word here. That helped Cleveland win that championship. And I think he's going to do the same here. He may not be he may not score 50 points like Luka's going to score. We know we're going to get with Luka, but I think Kyrie is the best player, or maybe I should say most important player, I think, in this series, mainly due to experience overall. But as far as the preview of game 1, I don't know. It's something, I'm with you, Jay. It's something with this Mavs team. I don't know what it is about them. And they stepped up their defense. That's what I was concerned about. And this is why I didn't have them going as far as as they are right now. I didn't think they would play any defense, but they have seriously stepped up their defense. And they basically made which is disappointing. They made the Wolves quit that last game. I don't care what nobody says. They made the Wolves quit.
Yeah.
They embarrassed the mess out of them. So I'm gonna go with Mavs game 1 for the series. I got time to change. I think Boston might take it. If KP comes back, I don't know if KP
He's going to play game
back.
1. He's going to play game 1.
He is playing.
Yeah.
He is going to play game 1. So I'm gonna say Boston's going to take it, but I'm not counting out the Mavs at all. Okay, well.
Yeah, well, we got 2 games. There's 2 games in before we get to our next show. So I'm going to do Thursday night and it's Sunday night, and then I think they play. No, actually, I'm sorry. They play Wednesday. Yeah, they play Wednesday night. So yeah. So with that being said, I'm going to say Kyrie, man. I like Kyrie as being the best player, the most important player in this, because what Kyrie has shown to me, what he does is he kind of plays possum in the first half, and then he comes out in the second half. And he closes out games. He does a great job of closing out games. He plays a game where he's no one really recognizes him or forgets about it. He makes them forget about him because Luka's doing everything and doing with Lively and all those other guys. And then Kyrie comes late third quarter, fourth quarter. Kyrie's doing his thing. He has, he starts off that first half. He has about 10 points, and then he finishes the game with about 25, 26, 27 because he shows up at the right time. And I think that's what it's about. It's not my saying. If you're a long time viewer, it's not you don't have to be great all the time. You just have to be great when you need to be. And Kyrie does that very well. He great when he needs to be, and so I'm going to go with Kyrie. I like Kyrie being the most important, the best player in this series. To answer the question, I'm going to say the Mavs take first 2 games, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh wow!
Barring any major injuries, there, KP doesn't count. KP doesn't count. KP doesn't count. If you didn't, for the people in the back, KP doesn't count. So if he gets hurt again, that's what he does. That's his MO. We've seen his movies all the time. So that's what he does. So I'm gonna say Kyrie again to answer the question. Kyrie is the most important, the best player in the series, and I do think the Mavs take the first 2 games on the road.
Yeah, you know what, K-Walk, I wouldn't be surprised. It's just that sometimes Boston can be so up and down. Even the series where they should have just ran through teams and they lost. I don't know if it was that Indiana or the first series that they played, and I can't remember who it was. They lost significantly. It was like, what are you doing? You could have been done with the series by now. So I do have concerns with Boston at times. So I wouldn't be surprised if Mavs do take the first 2 teams, especially I call Kyrie now the silent assassin. Yeah, he's been quiet, but he's like, remember who I am. Don't y'all forget.
And Celtics fans, the Mavs can hit threes too. Mavs can hit threes too. Yes, consistently.
I will say though, Boston has better defenders, but let's see what happens. They got Drew Holiday, and Drew Holiday is a very, very good defender. And that when he defends the guard, we got Mark B. Being a Knicks fan, I hate Boston, but I have them winning in 6. Porzingis will be back, and I just think that Boston is too deep. Boston is very deep.
Yeah.
I think.
My opinion.
But I think one of the, I will give Boston this. We know what Jaylen Brown can do. We know what Jason Tatum can do when they're consistent, when they're on. But I think one of their most important players is Derek White. Man, Derek White, he shoots the ball when they need a timely bucket, and he makes important defensive stops. He has done it over the course of this playoffs where they had to lean on somebody to get it done, and it seems to always be Derek White that gets them through a little struggle time and gets them over the hump. And the next thing you know, here comes Jaylen Brown, here comes Jason Tatum, or whoever it may be. And I can't forget Drew Holiday, because Drew Holiday has made some very important stops and plays as well. So those 2 guys, I think they're very important to the series.
Yeah.
And if there's anyone out there who has a betting line or who cries most to the refs, Luka or Jason Tatum, let me know so I can see what the over-under is, because there's going to be a cry fest in this series.
I'm taking the over on Luka, man.
Okay, there you go.
I'm still taking Luka. You said Luka, right, Jay?
Yeah.
I'm taking Luka on that one too. All right, guys, let's move on. Because we gotta I know we don't talk baseball much, but I thought this was awesome, and it's like about time type of moment for me. I just want to get your thoughts on it. So, Major League Baseball, aka the MLB. For those who don't know, if you don't know, now you know today. I was today years old when I knew MLB was Major League Baseball. No, I'm just kidding. MLB to now include stats from the Negro League. Yes, I could say that. The Negro League. So I want to get your thoughts on that first, and then I have a second question following this. But yes, they are now going to include stats from the Negro League, which will now elevate players to be at the top of the record boards. I can't think of the one guy in particular. I forgot his name. K-Walk, most likely you know, but he now leads a lot of records in the history of the major leagues now.
Yeah.
So I just want to get your thoughts. Jay, I'm gonna have you go first, and then K-Walk, you're the baseball savant here. So
Yeah, y'all know I'm not the baseball guy, so I'm really interested to hear what K Walk has to say about it. But I thought it was great, Britt. I feel like it was long overdue. I don't see why there would be any reason not to include them in it, right? So I feel like it was a great move, long overdue. I did see some people on X saying, this shouldn't happen. They didn't face good pitching and all this stuff. I'm like, come on now. Like the players in the MLB weren't like, I would imagine if those two leagues went up against each other, it would have been very competitive. So miss me with that argument.
Yeah,
but no, I'm glad it happened. Long overdue. Happy that they're finally in the record books officially.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jay. I agree. It's way long overdue. Just of course, I wasn't alive to watch the Negro League back then.
No, I wasn't either, bro. We weren't either.
But none of us were. But I ain't gonna put y'all out there like that. But yes, I know y'all wasn't alive. But just over the years, you hear about so many great players like Satchel Paige and Smokey Joe Williams and Oscar Charleston and things like that. Yes, I talked to a lot of older folks, like our grandparents type older folks, and how incredible players they were, and how they used to just watch the Negro League. They would never watch the Major League Baseball because some of the better players were over in the Negro League. So I'm happy this is happening. I think I agree with you, Jay. I don't think when it comes to baseball, the skill set was that much different. No, let's be real. It wasn't the skill set that was a factor. It was a color situation that was a factor. Right. So they were discriminating back in those days prior to allowing black folks play in the major leagues. But K-Walk, I'm gonna come to you. You're the baseball experts amongst all of us. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, not an expert by any stretch of the imagination, but Josh, I got you. Josh Gibson is the guy that stood out the most. His percentage, his baseball on base percentage, he rose to the top of everyone. Notably, home runs were still the same. Everything else, were the same there, but Josh Gibson actually rose to the top. You mentioned Satchel Paige and Josh Gibson. Can't forget about the guy that laid the foundation. It says Jackie Robinson. He's on my Mount Rushmore as far as greatest athletes of all time, ladies and gentlemen. That's a story. That's a topic for another day. I'll give that later. But I think it's great that they finally implemented this. And if they did face these players, I think the numbers might have been higher. To be perfectly honest with you, because of the fact of the matter is, when you're talking about the Negro League, we're talking about, the best against the best. Nothing to take away, from the Babe Ruths, the Joe DiMaggios, the Lou Gehrig's and those guys, to mention a few. But I think the Negro League was probably the most competitive league. A lot of parity there. Certain guys got their opportunities there. Obviously Jackie Robinson, as I mentioned. But if you put those guys in the beginning, against the major leagues, I think we might see some records that may never have been broken, to be honest with you. Maybe stolen bases, maybe home runs, things of that nature. Because we still have an asterisk by Barry Bonds, even though he's an African American player. We still Hank Aaron's up there. Jackie Robinson may be that he may be up there in stats as well. But just a great just a great decision by Major League Baseball, starting to recognize, those guys and what they've done in that league. And, hopefully, we can see this it trickle down or trickle up, if you will, to the NBA as well, as you mentioned, Britt.
Yeah. And that was actually my next question. But before that next question, Willie Mays, he played in the Negro League as well. Did Willie
No,
Mays
he did
play?
not. No,
He did
Willie
not.
Mays did
Okay.
not. No.
Okay. I wasn't sure if he played in it or not. I couldn't remember. But yes, my next question. Should the NBA do the same with the ABA? A lot of greats came from the ABA to play in the NBA. And statistically, things would change a little bit on the NBA side. But should the NBA include stats from the ABA? Jay, you look like you ready to go on this one. Go ahead.
No, Britt, like when you said you were gonna talk about this or ask us about this, I start trying to find a reason why they wouldn't. Like, was there some major difference? Is there some reason why they shouldn't do it? And I couldn't come up with anything, Britt. Like, I think it's probably long overdue, and it's probably something that needs to happen. Like a guy, one of your Dr. J, Britt, like he would have over 30,000 points if they would bring his ABA points over into the NBA record book. So again, I think it's one of those things that probably needs to happen. Long overdue, and there is some discussion about it. So I wouldn't be surprised if at some point down the road, if it doesn't actually happen.
And I do stand corrected. Willie Mays did play in the Negro Leagues with the Birmingham Black Barons, so I do stand corrected there. Yes.
Okay, so there you go. That's another he's a Major League Hall of Famer, so he played with them as well. But Jay, going back to the NBA, ABA, I agree. I think they should incorporate it. I think at the time, during that level of the ABA, during that era of the ABA, they were basically in competition with the NBA for the best talent at that particular time. And at times, the ABA was actually more popular than the NBA, because the ABA, that's where you had your most athletic players. That's where you had the dunks and I don't know. It was just more entertaining than NBA. Not only Dr. J, Billy Cunningham, something just fell through me off. George Iceman Gervin, Connie Hawkins. You had some incredible players, talent in the ABA, and similar to the MLB, the skill level. Actually, you probably had some of your better players might have been in the ABA during this particular era, until but eventually the NBA ended up pulling a lot of those players over to the NBA, and that's how Dr. Dre ended up. I said Dr. Dre, Dr. J.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. I said 4. So I'm just kidding. No, Dr. J ended up with my Philadelphia 76ers. And a lot of teams, the major teams, were with the ABA before they merged over to the NBA. So to me, the old ABA kind of just merged into the NBA. So I don't know why you would not include their stats. So I think that's just the NBA being a little egotistical right now, thinking, oh, we overcame. They dissolved, we didn't. Well, they dissolved for a reason behind that. But K-Walk, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you guys. Yeah, I think, we always talk about, the NFL and the NBA as a copycat league. I think that, with the major league, the sports, the major sports, NBA, hockey, football, and then baseball, it's a copycat profession. So I think once, the Major League Baseball, they have a foundation there. They laid a foundation there. So I think, we're going to start seeing, the NBA follow suit. And, well, I don't, no NHL is going to happen, but NBA, I think they'll follow suit in a couple of years down the road, if not sooner. So I think they'll definitely be implemented, because these leagues don't want to be outdone by any stretch of the imagination. So they always want to try to put on the best, the show, if you will, especially when it comes to like all-star games, things of that nature, and drafts and so forth and so on. So I think we're going to see that implemented very soon.
And I'm about to tell you guys how big of a Dr. J fan I am. One of my favorite movies, and it was not the best movies.
The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh.
The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh. Now, mind you guys,
movie.
I was not born nowhere near around when this movie came out. but you was a baby at the time
Yeah.
it came out.
When did that come
I
out?
think
Like
the
early
70s, I believe.
70s?
70s, yeah.
Yeah,
Great
it was in
movie,
the
by the way.
70s. The Fish is a great movie. Check it out
Yeah.
if you could find it. I've been trying to find it forever. I think it was one of those things my parents recorded off a TV, so it's like on a blank, and I mean a blank
Oh,
VHS.
wow. Wow.
Yeah, I was born at a time
Wow.
where we still had VCRs and VHSs. I was around for that
Yeah.
era. So I
think
cannot
they
find
got
this
it on
VHS.
Prime Video, I think.
It's on
Oh, they
Prime
do?
Video.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
man.
watch
you
it
can watch
tonight
on
then.
Prime.
Watch
But
that. If you haven't
yes,
watched it, yeah.
I am a
worth it. It's
real.
worth it. Yeah.
It is. I'm a real Dr. J fan, and that tells you how big Dr. J was back in
Yeah.
those days. Like he was the biggest thing at that time period. So, it was huge that the NBA went and grabbed him. But all right, guys, let's go. We got
And Britt, and if your zodiac sign is a Pisces, you would love it even more because that's what it's about. The fish that stay in Pittsburgh is about Pisces.
yes,
So,
yes, it is.